Good evening, everyone. I warmly welcome you to yet another session of Click to Clinic. We've been hosting these sessions since the lockdown started. We are living in a difficult time where stepping out, is not considered normal now. We need to take care of our near and dear ones, and we need to ensure that we step out only when it's emergency or we really need it. So, for the last 4 to 5 months, Click to Clinic has been organizing these care sessions where we've brought for you doctors, medical experts, fitness experts of various specialities who have been helping you and guiding you and us as well. How to take care of basic stuff, how to take care of your health, of your fitness, how to maintain, a basic health status quo in these times when we are confined to our houses. Slowly, the life is beginning to pace up, and that is why we are here as the government introduced Unlock 4 guidelines. Uh, we have an expert with us who's, in this field for the last several years, and she thought this is the time when, after these 5 months of confinement in the house, we should relook at the way we, spent this time, whether we did exercise, whether we had a good diet, nutritious diet, and in case we did not, let's again restart from square one, take her guidance, take some tips from her, and revisit our wellness and health once again. So I welcome today Mrs. Taranjeet Kaur. She is the head nutritionist and program manager, Metabolic Balance India in Active Health. So Mrs. Taranjeet, to briefly introduce her, she has more than 15 years of experience in clinical nutrition, and she has done a master's in dietetics and food service management. She has her own scientific publication to her name and has several articles published in newspapers, magazines, journals. I've been reading a few of them from quite some time now. She's also a UGC NET qualified lecturer, and she's also worked at Safdarjung Hospital for a brief period of time. She has done extensive research work on canola oil, and she's conducted several awareness sessions, educational seminars for general public and students at large. So with Active Health, she's associated for the last 8 years, and she's heading Active Health's world-renowned German nutrition program, Metabolic Balance for India. Over to you, Mrs. Taranjeet. Again, a warm welcome to you now.
Thank you so much, Click to Clinic and Mr. Vivek Khanna, for having me here, giving me this platform today to interact with people and let them know about easy nutrition tips for all age groups. Though the topic is quite vast, but I'll try and cover up as much as possible. Uh, so we all heard this, that if we eat wrongly, no doctor can cure us. If we eat rightly, no doctor is needed. These are the words of a nutrition expert, Victor Russin. And today, when the world is worried about improving immunity and health, we all are looking for simple, doable tips. So today I'll help you understand how you can incorporate these simple tips in your daily routine. And once I'm done with all the age groups, I will take up your questions and queries. As Mr. Vivek told you that I am a certified metabolic balance consultant. So the metabolic balance program has been developed by a team of German doctors and nutritionists after 25 years of research. This program is available in 30 countries around the globe and has helped over 1 million people. It has some simple rules for good health, which I'm going to share with you today. So we will start with simple rules from the Metabolic Balance program for good health. Then I'll take up age-wise specific tips. And towards the last, I will again come up how to, giving some tips to simplify and organize the daily meals. Okay. So to begin with, rule number 1, have 3 meals a day. Here with metabolic balance, we say 3 meals a day, and each meal comprising of a protein, complex carbohydrate, vegetables, fruit, and of course oil. I'll explain you one by one all what it entails. So number one, make sure to have adequate amount of good quality protein in each of your meals. Example, you may have dal or cheese or paneer or eggs or chicken, as your protein, either sprouts, nuts, whatever. All these bodybuilding stuff, I mean, these are the proteins mentioned. I mean, they're rich in proteins, all these foods that I just mentioned. Then have only one protein at each meal. So, like our elders used to do, that they had dal sabzi roti or dahi sabzi roti. Today, abundance has brought us to a scenario where on the table at the same time we have dal, we have chicken, we have paneer, everything with us. All these things, I mean, having too many proteins together in one meal makes it difficult for the body to digest them well, and this causes more acidity in the system, because there is a way where amino acids are assimilated by the body. So keep your meals simple. Even though, I mean, we are blessed to have abundance, but let's, have gratitude and make things simple for our body to understand. Then make sure that you do a different protein at each meal. For example, if you've taken eggs for breakfast, do yogurt for lunch and maybe dal or chicken or paneer for dinner. Okay, so try to have 3 different proteins in a day. It could even be nuts and seeds. So incorporating a protein at each meal and a different protein, as I mentioned right now, helps you to have the correct amino acid composition in the body, so that all the body systems can work properly and the body rejuvenation can take place. For us adults, though the requirement is not as high for children, but then 0.8 to 1 gram per kg body weight is the protein requirement. To state it simply, if you have a good amount at each meal, as I just mentioned, you can easily cater to these needs, and this will ensure that your bones are built well, your muscles are formed well, and the hormones, enzymes as required by the body are made well in amount as the body wants to. Okay. Then another point that I mentioned was include complex cereals. We all know that our wheat has quite been robbed of its bran. So in case, if you're purchasing wheat flour from the market, it's usually quite devoid of the fiber that it used to contain. And with our sedentary lifestyle, where most of us are lacking in fiber intake, it's important that we include cereals like barley, that is jaw, buckwheat, that is kuttu ka atta, and oats. And in case you are too fond of wheat and would like to incorporate that, make sure that you add some extra bran to it, or get some organic wheat flour where it's already enriched with good good bran. It's not removed or processed to a high degree. So having in complex carbohydrates makes sure that our sugar levels do not fluctuate very fast in our body. Okay, which means there is a slow rise of sugar and we feel we are full for longer. Okay, so complex carbohydrates in association with a protein and some fat ensure that the glycemic load of your meal is well taken care of, which in turn makes sure that there are less of sugar fluctuations and the satiety is for a longer time. You feel full for longer and lesser of insulin production required, which can manage your sugars well into the system, right? Then all of us are quite worried about our oils. So what do we usually suggest as in our program? We suggest that normal adults should take 3 tablespoons of oil, that is 45 ml of oil per day. Now, when I talk about 3 tablespoons, I mean that out of these 3 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon could be ghee, 1 tablespoon should be either mustard or canola or flaxseed oil, which all of these 3 which I just mentioned are rich in omega-3. Okay, and your third tablespoon could be a repetition of mustard, canola or flaxseed, or it could be olive, coconut, sesame, groundnut, whichever oil you prefer. Okay, including a minimum of 1 tablespoon of omega-3 is very important, more so if you are a vegetarian. In case people who consume fish, I mean, they do get some omega-3 from the fish that they are consuming. But in case you are a vegetarian, please make sure that you incorporate at least 1 to 2 tablespoons of the oils that I mentioned, which are rich in omega-3. That's because it's a plant product. You may not see omega-3 as a plant. This omega-3 fatty acid is known as alpha linolenic acid. Okay, because when it comes from a plant, there is a little change in the composition. So having this, why am I emphasizing? Is because if you have omega-3, the chances of inflammation are lowered. Too much of omega-6 oils like sunflower, safflower in your diet may, bring in more inflammation through food. So we try to have a balance of these good oils in our system so that we can, look after and curb the chronic inflammatory, signs and the basic occurrence of them. Then make sure that you give yourself a variety of vegetables and salads in your meals. So don't just be stuck with, one day bindi, one day brinjal, and one day ghia, and just, stuck with 2 or 3 favorite vegetables of the house. Make sure that you explore. Let your children know that, there are different vegetables that exist by nature and make the most use of it. Everything that's grown in nature has some use to it, has some benefit. So I usually say that whatever God has created has some benefit in it, right? So to have that and incorporate the micronutrients, the protective substances that we get, we should incorporate a variety of vegetables and salads in our meals, different colors. So green leafy vegetables, maybe a purple cabbage or purple as from the brinjal eggplant that you could do, and incorporating, yes, different pumpkins, or you could make different dishes. It's not always that you have to make boring similar food. You can grill it sometimes, make soups, incorporate it in different forms, make cutlets. Should not be deep fried all the time, but you could do an easy pan fried dishes that you can make. Try to have 2 to 3 fruits in a day. So if you are a pre-diabetic or diabetic, still 1 to 2 fruits you can take. In the normal scenario, I mean, if everything goes perfect, you may go up and take up to 3 fruits in a day. Close to each meal. And as we often suggest, yes, apple is very important that we, incorporate in our meals. But besides that, you could include your seasonal available fruits. Try and bring again a variety. If pears are available, plums are available, have one fruit at one time. As I mentioned earlier, also try and keep your food intake simple. You may do a mix of vegetables, of course, in each of your meals, but fruit, let it be one, because again, it impacts your insulin. So different sugar incorporation from different fruits, because each of them has a different composition of, fructose and other sugars present. So it's good to take up one fruit at a time for better digestion and better insulin control in the body. Then it's also very important that we keep our salt in moderation. So, excess salt in diet can also weaken our immune system. Okay, till now we were just focusing on more of sugars being the culprit and, spoiling the immune system. But on the other spectrum, even high salt can weaken it. High salt can even weaken our bones, bring us issues like high blood pressure, and, spoil the gut bacteria itself. So don't make those mattis and chips a regular part of your tea time. Okay, try and curb these as far as possible. Like once in a while, I understand all of us like to indulge, but then don't make it a daily routine. Okay. Most of all, keep 5 hour gap between your meals. Yes, we've all been hearing about the frequent meal concept, but then metabolic balance suggests that you do a 5 hours clear gap between your meals. We are hearing so much about intermittent fasting and now people understanding the benefits of staying, without food for longer periods. Here we've simplified your journey. It's a simple 5 hours gap between your three meals. So if your breakfast is 8 to 9, lunch 2 to 3, and dinner 8 to 9. This ensures that your insulin is not staying elevated for the entire day. You give it rest, allow it to come down, and allow the fat burning in the body to happen, right? Then do regular exercise. Spend some time to do breathing exercises like your pranayam, whether it's Anulom Vilom, Kapalbhati, or doing just simple inhale, exhale consciously can really help you to improve your health. When we breathe consciously, it means that you are more vigilant of your breathing, which automatically makes it deeper. And this is a way you can cleanse your body really well. Okay, by correct breathing and a deeper breathing, you are in a sense cleansing every cell of your body. Okay, carbon dioxide from every cell is pulled off when you breathe out. When you breathe in deeply, you don't have to force yourself to do that. Just be gentle with yourself while doing your breathing exercises. Let them be a source of relaxing your mind. Our brain is usually functioning very fast. We are so quick in our thinking all the time. We are up and about working. We are not getting time to relax. Even in our dreams, we are always like running behind one thing or the other, or maybe, just you feel that in the morning when you wake up, you're still tired. Oh my God, I was running throughout in my dreams. So just give yourself some minutes of calmness through the day when you do your breathing exercises. Regarding physical exercises, make time to do at least 20 to 30 minutes of either walk, yoga, some resistance exercises, some strength training, and other exercises. If you're unaware, you can start doing under medical supervision, learn them, and start doing them on your own. Okay. Most importantly, keep yourself well hydrated. Water alone can prevent us from 70% of diseases, right? It helps to keep your system alkaline, which ensures that bad bacteria and viruses cannot grow inside you. Okay, so the simple tip that I have been following and recommend all my friends, family, and my clients is that during this time when we are so worried about our immunity and trying to, have everything on earth as immunity boosters incorporated into our daily intake, keep water as the top priority. So 35 ml per kg body weight is the requirement. okay, which example you are you are at 60 kilos, so having 2 and 1/4 is the minimum count that you should have. So which again ensures, like we've heard so many times, that 8 to 10 glasses is essential. So here I just have one more point to make, that you do not count your tea and kava in place of your water. That is not a replacement. When I talk about water, I mean just plain water, plain simple water, no infused waters, no cucumber, no lemon, no mint waters. It's just plain water. This is what your system requires for a good cleansing. What we've seen in the lockdown is that people have, like, through the day taken jugs of kavas incorporated with herbs, enzymes. And today I read an article about that these days doctors are dealing with new emergencies because people have overdone their intake of kavas, which included different herbs and spices without going according to the medical recommendations. They just made it that they could have as much of it as they want, that it would, because it's herbal, it would not do them any harm. But then, as we all know, excess of anything is bad, right? So even when you are doing a herbal concoction or a homeopathic medication, it is always good to abide by the instructions given from the medical professionals. Do not take these, as the free foods. And with this, I also, because as I was just mentioning, these kavas have actually impacted and given ill effects on people's livers and kidneys. Okay, so just be cautious. Yeah, 1 cup, go ahead and do that, but don't replace your normal water with this. Then many women these days are facing issues with UTI problems and this. The simple, easiest remedy for UTIs is that you start drinking water. When there is lack of water, the E. coli staying near our vagina and the uterus part, and so that grows, gets an environment, an acidic environment where it can grow very and flourish to cause infections to us. Because we've seen that women have, people have started having more teas, thinking that, okay, we are putting ginger in our tea and this and that, and adding more sugars throughout the day, making the body more acidic. Because each time you're consuming teas and coffees, you're also increasing your sugar intake. Even if it's less sugar or a sweetener, still the impact is happening. So make sure that you drink enough water. Even people dealing with kidney stones, make sure that you drink adequate water. There are people who love snacking and feel that they're snacking throughout the day. So do not confuse your thirst with hunger. First, try and grab a glass of water, drink water, and see if you're actually hungry. Okay, because most people have just forgotten picking up and drinking water is like too old-fashioned to do. Just get back to your values if you wish to incorporate good immunity and good health. Okay, so now I start the age-wise tips. These were general, and I'll help you again come back to the adults when I tell you about how organize and you can plan your days. So starting with infants, the best thing on earth is mother's milk. Babies should be exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months of their life. These days, as more women are working and are keen to resume back to their work, I still suggest that you can pump and refrigerate your breast milk so that the caretaker can use your milk only to feed the child. So because what this will do, giving enough time in the first 6 months to feed your baby, to express the milk and keep it there for the child, ensures that you are building his or her immunity. breast milk is the best source of building a child's immunity. This will not only save you from the doctor's visit of your child's illness, the child won't fall ill very soon. Plus, it also ensures that the mother is saved of many a type of cancers in her life later. So stuff like endometriosis and issues like breast cancer can easily be, put off for a very long time. At least you can keep yourself safe if you've breastfed your child exclusively for the first 6 months of his life, right? And I mean, not only cancers, but even autoimmune diseases can be warded off if the mother has, breastfed the child. Then once you start the complementary feeding, don't just resort to the ready cereals available in the market. Don't just go in for the ready stuff that you can bring a pack, open it, and just, mix it in water. Go for the basic home done things like your dal, doing a khichdi, using, curd and rice or curd and fruit, simple things that we used to do earlier. Just bring those practices back. There are enough options. You could do a mashed fruit. You can, do a little porridge for the child, mix rice with, veggies, and make some dish for them. Of course, for infants and children, we do tell them to snack, and give them frequent meals because they have a smaller appetite. So for them, of course, frequent meals are very important. Coming to young children, because I'll be giving very simple tips, which you can incorporate. And because of dearth of time, like I have to go through all the age groups, so I'll try and do justice to each one of them as far as possible. So for young children, encourage them to eat by themselves. Make them finger foods and put their portions in a way so that they can learn to eat on their own. These days we see that, nannies are feeding, the child is looking into the TV, not even realizing what's going into the mouth, and, unless and until they start chewing at that time. So make mealtime a good, happy time for them to explore their food. They should be happy about picking and eating and learning to feed themselves well. Do not force feed your child. And if they are disliking a particular food, it's okay. Leave that alone. Try it after a few days again. Maybe they develop a taste for that. Just a moment. Sorry. So you may try and, incorporate another dish or another food for them. Just make sure that, you give them ample of variety in their foods, and not just that if your child is liking a particular food that you start incorporating that one simple food every day into the routine. Try, give them a variety, and make changes likewise. Then don't let every shopping spree bring home a dose of Oreo, cream cookies, and candies. Having them once in a while, of course, they're children and they would love to have these things. Make it a once in a while thing, not like an everyday feature that they're incorporating so much of sugar, because this would not only cause cavities, but also disturb their digestion, let good bacteria, not grow, and the bad bacteria grow, because bad bacteria feeds on sugars. And what will happen if bad bacteria grows in their system? They will go low on immunity. We cannot afford at this time of the hour to let our children's immunity drop down. Okay. Similarly, when I talk about sugars, as I earlier mentioned about salt, we've seen people hand over a big packet of chips and, kurkure and all whatever to their children. Even if you have to bring home these things, encourage the child to share that pack. Get them smaller packs. And, encourage your child to share it with everyone so that they end up eating lesser portion. Do not give them complete packs. What this will ensure is, yes, they're learning to incorporate. That's only if a must, that if you give them. If you can give, try substituting this with healthier option. And in case, if at some point of time you have brought these into your house, encourage the child to distribute it. This way they learn the feeling of sharing, their meals, and they're not incorporating too much of salt into their diet. Okay. Sometimes we've seen that, people force their children to have milk early morning. Please do not force your children to have milk if they are unable to digest it. Respect their decisions. You may give them other options, like they could do an egg roll or a cheese sandwich, or you could give them nuts and fruit. There is no dearth of options. A simple paneer sandwich would help. It's not that if they can't drink milk, then they go empty stomach to their school. These days, of course, with corona, we've had different criterias for schooling, but in general, once we resume life back, we make sure that you are giving them adequate breakfast, because starting a day with good breakfast, which entails good protein source, enhances cognitive and physical performance, ensuring alertness and the ability to learn better, perform better in their studies and in their sports performances as well. So, taking up all these things, the next suggestion on my mind is that we are role models for our children. Okay, they emulate us for every little thing. So if you inculcate good eating and exercise habits, your child will follow this regime throughout a healthy and fulfilled life. Make sure that you are doing everything that sets them, let them have the main meals with you on the table so that they enjoy interacting and consider it a happy meal time. The snacks, of course, for them could be at a different time. Next, we come to the adolescence. This is the second growth spurt in our life. And as adolescents, there is change in body composition, and children, as they grow, start attaining their sexual maturity. Important tips for teenagers are: make sure that they have balanced meals so that the high requirement of iron and calcium is fulfilled and well taken care of. Turn their junk to healthy. I wouldn't say that today, if I tell even my children that I would not make pastas for you, or give you sandwiches of your choice and stuff. But then, ever since I have known cooking, what I have done is that I've tried and make the best possible use of turning this into a healthy option. So even if you are doing, some pasta or noodles, try to pick up good varieties. Make sure that you incorporate lots of vegetables. Add a protein source, whether it's adding cheese to it, or you are adding some chicken or a scrambled egg into it, or even adding sprouts to it. Some protein source added, and enough vegetables done. So my daughter usually states that whenever she wants a pasta, she tells me, okay, make the pasta which you do when you add pasta to the vegetables. She makes fun of me, but she knows that I'll be doing this way only. So all of us can build this into the children's lifestyle if they are wanting to have foods of their choices. Similarly, when you're making a cutlet, make sure that there's a protein source incorporated, whether it's a soya granules cutlet, or you make a chicken cutlet, or you make a dal cutlet, a chana cutlet. Incorporating that into a wheat bun is way healthier than just giving them an aloo tikki burger, right? So simple things that you could do at home to make the food more interesting. Then drinking enough water, which is very important, because in adolescence, yes, there are changes on the skin. Children are more prone to acne. As teenagers, they have more hormonal changes happening. So make sure that they're drinking enough water. And do not let the fridge be stocked with too much of flavored sodas and colas. Okay, because as I emphasized earlier, too much of sugar. The studies have shown that if a person is drinking even one sugary drink per day, they are likely to be pre-diabetic. I mean, which would then make them go towards diabetes very soon. And the Indian data states that our children are getting obese. I mean, they're having issues like diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, which was known as a disease of later age, is now seen amongst school going children and our college going children. Right? So we need to save our children from these lifestyle issues. Then instead of protein shakes, which I think most mothers of young children are facing this, is that children insist of different protein shakes. What I would suggest is give them simple shakes that we used to do. Doing a 30 minutes or a 1 hour workout, whether in the gym or in the sports field, is like a recommendation from the World Health Organization. Only if your child has is an athlete or a sports person where he's playing or practicing for more than 4 to 5 hours, that he needs a proper guidance of supplements, then you can talk to a sports nutritionist and get the like done. Otherwise, in normal scenario, I mean, people do not need. So because these days, even when adults are going to gym to work out for a 30 minutes or a 1 hour session, where like 15 minutes are going for changing this, that, the gym instructors are forcing them to buy, protein shakes, this, that. Do not do that. You could do a simple protein shake by using about 20 almonds, adding a banana to it. I mean, taking soaked almonds, put it in a mixer, and add a half glass of water to it. You get an almond banana shake. You could do that like an almond mango shake, or a simple milkshake, a cold coffee, or a banana shake made with milk could suffice the requirements there. I mean, it's not that you require fancy protein shakes and supplements all the time. Okay. Then, as I mentioned earlier, that I started with adults, took up the younger age group. I will now straight away step to elderly, tips for elderly people, and then come back to the normal adults. So in elderly, the energy requirements have decreased because the movement has slowed down, but they still need adequate bodybuilding and protective foods, which means that they still need proteins, vegetables, fruits, oil, and water. Amount of chapati, rice, cookies in their meals can be reduced, but make sure that they're getting their dals, portions of egg or chicken or sprouts into their meals. They should have a variety of vegetables. Also, we need to make sure that they're having adequate fiber in the diet. In case chewing of fruits is an issue with them, you may grate the fruit or cook. I mean, you can stew the apple or, the pear and make it easier for them to consume. In case they find it, harder to chew, you can, make it in different forms and give them softer fruits of their choice. Fluid intake should be well taken care of. So the water intake should also be taken care of in elderly, unless and until they have kidney issues or any related problems where they've been advised to limit or curb their water intake. Because this fiber and fluid incorporation would make sure that their constipation and digestion issues are well taken care of. Right. So now we'll talk about some simple tips for adults, how they can easily manage to eat healthy. Now, starting with this is that one simple tip, that organize your meal plans on weekends. Do your shopping likewise for people, because I know these days we have the couples working, so the only time available is on the weekends where they can sit, and so it's good to plan your meals for the coming week. Do your shopping likewise, bring in the vegetables, fruits, and your oils and proteins in adequate amounts to be there in the fridge. This will ensure that you are buying less of the processed and packaged and not ordering food from outside. You can easily prepare whatever, can be easily done at home. When you are planning your meals, make sure that you're incorporating a good protein at each meal. So sometimes it's a paneer or egg or chicken, because this is very, very important. So, I mean, I'll just take one more minute to tell you why. So, in today's scenario, when we have sedentary lifestyles incorporated, I mean, for a person like me also, if I'm sitting and doing concerts the entire day and doing less movement, I may not require the energy giving foods because I'm not expending that much of energy. But till the time I'm alive, my blood is getting made, my hair is growing, my nails are growing, my hormones, enzymes are getting made, even if I want them or I don't want them. That's a natural process of being alive that's happening. And all the bodybuilding happens with proteins. That is why we insist that you incorporate proper proteins, which ensures that, I mean, and as I said earlier, 3 different proteins ensuring that the essential amino acid composition is complete in a day as far as possible. Then another easy tip, that soak your dals, beans, because once you make a planner, ki aaj ye dal banana hai, tomorrow it's kidney beans, then it's moong dal, the other day it's chana. You soak them at night so that it takes lesser time to cook in the morning and your healthy lunch is ready. And you can plan your breakfast also, keep it easy. Fruits should be ordered in a manner so that at least you're consuming 2 fruits in a day. One you can carry to your office and one you can have at home. Then keep nuts handy. When you come back home and are looking for snacks, don't just go to the kitchen and opt for those tea and chips all the time. Keep nuts handy, some almonds, some walnuts. You can soak them in the morning so that when you're back in the evening, if you wish to have them, you incorporate. The best would be to do a timely dinner, of course, because as I said earlier, we do not encourage much of snacking. But in case, there is time and you need to prepare and you're really hungry, just go in for some good nuts as your snack. Okay. So to wind up very quickly, I will, tell you what we've talked about. So plan well, eat well, do regular exercise, keep yourself well hydrated. Remember, immunity cannot be built in a day. You have to be consistent with good habits to be your best, energetic, and a disease-free self. Thank you so much. We can now take up your questions, please.
Thank you, Dr. Taranjeet. It was, some tips we already know, but most of it, I'm sure, was a treasure, which I think if we really bring down to practice in our daily routines, would definitely lead to better nutrition and I guess weight loss also, because you have, I think, directly said to moderate the use of colas, sodas, fast food, junk food, everything. So sure, it's difficult. I'm sure it's difficult for most of us, but I'm sure the guest resonated with it. So while we have questions here, and we also have on our simultaneous Facebook broadcast, we have several questions there. So I'll just keep mixing up here and there. So our first question is from Nimar Sani. They ask, what about millets? Are they considered as complex carbs? Can cereals be mixed?
Hello, Snimaji. Yes, of course, millets can be counted as complex carbs, where I mentioned about the barley, buckwheat, because barley and buckwheat have a lower glycemic load even as when compared to millets. But of course, when I talk about wheat and compare with this, we can incorporate millets into our daily diets. And as you said about mixing of cereals, yes, of course. Mixing to some extent is okay, but then I would not recommend mixing too many cereals at one time, because that again, as we talk about multigrain, may cause acidity issues. So just incorporating, as I said, if you're doing wheat, you may add a little bran to it. So if you are doing a jawar roti, go ahead for that particular meal, do a jawar roti like that. And if you do, if you do wheat and bran is not available and you want to do an oats flour to wheat, that's still okay. Going with 1 to 2 grains is still permissible, but not beyond like we're mixing 4 or 5 grains at one time.
Right.
Excuse me, can I ask one question, please?
Yes, please.
You said we should soak dals before we cook.
Yes, of course. That helps them to digest better. Agar washed dals hai, जैसे मूंग और मसूर dal, for them you can do a little soaking. For other dals like rajma, chana, soaking them ensures that you are, helping the anti-nutritional substances move ahead, which cause less gas and troubles which are related to our beans.
That one we soaked.
Right. So I'll move on to the next question. So Mr. Mayank is asking Mrs. Taranji that what about these upcoming diets which like Atkins and keto and all these diets, if we follow them, and especially intermittent fasting, does all this help, and does this give us a proper nutrition?
Hi Mayank. In case, what I would suggest is follow a diet which you can continue for a lifetime. Doing a keto or whatever intermittent fasting, do it under medical supervision. Do not just Google and read and start on your own. Yes, I have heard benefits of these different diets, but then again, these are not long-term sustainable things. I cannot imagine myself being without fruits for a particular time. I love my fruits. I would like to incorporate them, and keto does not allow one to have fruit on a daily basis, right? So when I talk about the program that we follow, the metabolic balance, we make sure that we are having a complete balanced meal which becomes our lifestyle. So we let you know what protein match to your system, how much amount of food, dal hai to kitna khana hai, how much chicken if you wish to have, how much should you incorporate at one meal, so that you fulfill the body requirements of protein and keep yourself satiated also. So if you are following any diets, one, do under medical supervision. Second, go with things which you can follow long term. Short term things, because if you do keto for a week or 10 days or a month and then fall back to your regular habits, you're bound to gain weight. Nothing on earth can stop you to gain weight once you come back to your normal regime. So making changes which you can sustain for a longer time is the key for a good health and weight management.
So our next question is from Mr. Shivam Basin. He says he's 44 and suddenly for the last 2 months or so, he has sugar cravings. He has got his sugar levels checked around thrice. They are normal. He says his 3 months HbA1c is also normal, but he doesn't feel weak. He doesn't feel dizzy, but still his sugar cravings are all of a sudden, and they are up to 4 to 5 times a day. How can we help him?
So, thank you. This is a very good question that he's brought up. Many people face these issues. And the moment you are witnessing this kind of sugar cravings, that's a first signal to understand that something is going wrong in your system. A little sugar after the meal is natural, where you have a fruit or, a little bit of some sweet, that's okay. But then having sugar cravings multiple times in a day means that your body balance is already, has gone out of way. You need to curb it. Make sure to have a protein at each meal with the complex carb, with adequate oil, so that you can suffice this. And as I mentioned earlier, drink adequate water. And when you do proper proteins, complex cereals, and the oil, this will ensure satiety for longer. Then you don't get these cravings too often. If you are devoid of these particular food groups, as I mentioned, agar protein nahi hoga, suppose you're just having ghiya sabzi and roti, then you're bound to get hungry after 2 hours. Okay, and the sugar craving may increase because you haven't had a substantial thing to sustain you for long. Having a katori of dahi with that meal ensures that you're full for longer, because that whatever is happening now, even though as you mentioned your sugar values are in range, but they may have already start going into the pre-diabetic range. Okay, so just make a note of that, and it's good that you've been checking these things, and make sure that by doing these little changes that I've suggested, you can curb your sugar cravings at this time before you step into the other zone of diseases.
So our next question is from Miss Asha Fuller Kanavar. She wants to ask what diet will suit her and what daily tips can you give her because she's PCOS.
Okay. For people facing PCOS issues, it's very important again to curb your sugar intake, because insulin and PCOS have a very deep relationship. Okay, I mean, when I've been doing some live sessions even on our Metabolic Balance India page related with sleep, gut health, recently skin, we are coming up next with PCOS also. So you may join us there. But in short, I'll just tell you, just make sure that you are not incorporating too many cups of tea or coffee, or even before your periods, when if you have those PMS issues, you are not gorging on chocolates and including too much of sweet. Make sure that you incorporate enough complex cereals. Even if you feel hungry, taking a bit of extra dal or some salad, or even, a little roti would not harm you than to gorge on a complete bar of chocolate, because that would aggravate the PCOS issues. Okay, so just make sure that you're eating healthily, incorporating water, doing your proteins well, because matching the correct protein can only happen if I have the details of your blood analysis, medical history, and so on. Till that time, you could go with the general tips that I've shared in this session. Yes.
Okay. So I think we are running late. I'll just take two last questions for today. So, Dr. Mrs. Tanji, uh, we have Prachi Desai. She's asking that she has been obese since childhood.
Hmm.
She's tried different diets and gym routines for 3 to 4 times, and she has lost weight successfully. But it always bounces back whenever she leaves the routine. So she's considering bariatric surgery now that she thinks it's difficult for her to again go through the entire process. Is it safe, and does it affect the nutrition?
Um, Prachi, it's good that you've come up with this question. Before stepping into bariatric, I would still suggest you that you do a program that's, I mean, like Metabolic Balance, you could do a program where you get to know what proteins are matching with your system. If it's an issue since childhood, maybe you've been consuming things that were not matching to your body system. And if you are young at age, bariatric would create hindrance in your conception, your delivering a child, and other issues. So before stepping into that arena, try and see if food can help cure it. I mean, because you've been unsuccessful because you've been incorporating supplements and pills and powders. I mean, which is not a long term thing. With Metabolic Balance, we don't recommend too many of, I mean, nothing of course, as I should mention, no pills, no supplements. It's just pure food that you can incorporate now onwards throughout life. I mean, simple food that you can procure from market. This, I mean, we do not make you dependent on us. So do something that would help you incorporate such a lifestyle, because even after bariatric, if you aren't careful, if you don't make changes to your lifestyle, you are bound to gain back that weight even then in the next couple of years. So take your decisions very carefully. That's it. Yeah.
Right.
Next question, Mr. Vivek.
So our last question, I think we'll text and we'll answer all the questions on the comments. So the last question for today's session is this is Mrs. Purnima Kapoor, and she says that she delivered a baby 4 months back. She has been quite tired by the entire routine of day and night that she's trying to settle down, and she says during the lactation period, what is the diet that you recommend, and especially for a baby, because she's had a girl, and the breastfeeding is not working out with her and her child.
Okay. The one simple tip that I have for all the women who are lactating is that do not stop the nighttime feeding. Okay. The moment your nighttime feeding is replaced with the formula milk, your milk production can slow down. Nighttime milk, lactating or breastfeeding the child at nighttime is very, very essential to keep the milk production going on. Okay. Another thing, incorporating the traditional, panjiri or nuts, and ghee, whatever is there, is good for lactation period rather than incorporating sodas and colas. Do not take pregnancy and lactation time to incorporate foods of your choices that, you feel now is the time I can have whatever I want. No, still go on with healthy eating. Yes, incorporate your favorite foods. That's okay to do because your energy needs are higher at this point of time. But if you want to have your baby satisfied and good milk production happening for the first 6 months, WHO recommends that for good immunity, we go up to feeding our children for at least the first 2 years of their life. But for the first 6 months, it's just exclusive breastfeeding. So try and, do not stop the nighttime feeding. Make sure that you do that. You eat healthily, incorporate fruits, water, good proteins, and good snacks into your diet because lactation and pregnancy are the time when the body needs are higher. So you need not stick to just the 3 meals, but you should also incorporate 2 snacks to suffice to the energy requirements.
Tarun, I'll take a last question. Sir is requesting us. He's a gentleman. He's 68 years old, and he is suffering from knee pain for the last 4 to 5 years. And he also has stones in the bladder, which the doctor is treating with the medicines. He just wants to know, on a very quick note, what foods he should take and what he should generally avoid.
Okay. So incorporating a variety of foods in moderation is a good idea. If you have kidney stones, okay, then it's good to incorporate a good amount of water into your meals. As in a daily routine, because water will ensure that you do, that you could easily flush these out and curb the development of the kidney stones. If the stones are in the gallbladder usually has stones as precipitates of cholesterol. So in that case, if it's like normal and not troubling you, if it troubles giving you excruciating pain, then surgery is the option. Before that, if it isn't troubling you, then doing breathing exercises and incorporating olive oil and canola oil into your diet, not exceeding 3 tablespoons, I would say, in a day, would help you get them to dissolve the body. Okay, so water intake is very good, and with that I would also suggest a simple remedy that you do with the maize hair, the golden hair. If you boil them and have that 1 cup of water with your dinner, that would ensure better urine output and help you do away with the kidney stones. And do it only for a week or 10 days. Need not that you incorporate it 365 days of your life. Right?
Right. That's it. So hope Mr. Sachdeva, you got your answers. So we'll answer all the questions. Mrs. Taranjeet will share her guidance and tips through comments on our Facebook Live page. And thank you so much, Mrs. Kaur, for enlightening us with all those valuable tips. And I'm sure all of us would bring that into practice.
I try to do as much as to my knowledge that I could share. And thank you so much for having me here. And I hope I have been able to answer the queries of the guest. And as you mentioned, we'll answer more in the queries which are left in comments. I'll try and answer them as far as possible. And in case I'm unable, I'll let you know and get back to you for issues. But I'll see, try to make the best use of my knowledge as far as possible. Thank you so much.
So thanks viewers for joining us today, and we'll be again back next week with yet another episode of some valuable guidance from our next medical expert. Thank you so much.
Thank you.